Well, I had a chance to interview Neil Cavuto and Maria Bartiromo, as well as Trish Regan and Sandra Smith, after the Fox Business debate, the Republican debate in South Carolina. And guns came up in both of those debates, the primetime debate and in the undercard debate. Trish Regan got booed for asking a question that included the factual statement that in the public opinion polls, majority of Americans favor universal background checks or tighter background checks for gun purchases than we have now. And I mentioned to Cavuto that he had brought this up, I believe with Marco Rubio, pressing the Florida senator for why Rubio keeps saying that President Obama wants to take our guns away. What are the facts to back that up, Cavuto asked, and I said that was a good follow-up question. Well, not many people like that, or at least some of you didn't. Jack M. says in an email, Howard, on today's Media Buzz, you asked Neil Cavuto and Maria Bartiromo what evidence there is to suggest that Obama wants to, quote, take away our guns. They responded essentially that there is no such evidence. Really? Question mark, exclamation point, question mark. The president's and Hillary's open praise of the system forced on the Australian people by its government is evidence enough. Well, first of all, the debate right now is about Obama's unilateral executive order to extend background checks to gun shows and some online sales to people who haven't been subjected to it. We can debate the wisdom of that. I certainly don't like the president bypassing Congress in this fashion, but it's about background checks. He seems to have dropped for the moment some other sweeping proposals on ammunition and assault weapons and things of that nature. Now, you could say, well, this is just the first step, and what Obama really wants to do, and Hillary Clinton has been even more aggressive in her rhetoric on gun control, what she would do if she were to win the White House, is to take, you could say that this is just one step on a slippery slope to some kind of taking guns away, violating the Second Amendment, confiscation. But that's not what they're proposing to do. So I decided to research this thing about Australia and Australia's gun control laws. And here's what is actually the case. So the President of the United States, Obama, noted that Australia had a mass shooting a couple of years ago and imposed what the President described as very severe, tough gun laws, and hasn't had a mass shooting since. Our levels of gun control, or gun violence, are off the charts in America, according to the President. There's no advanced developed country that put up with this. The President didn't say anything specific about what Australia had done that he wants to adopt. But Hillary, you are right, has also talked about this. And Hillary says that the Australian government, or I looked this up, what Hillary was referring to is the Australian government is trying to clamp down on the availability of automatic weapons, did what's called a buyback program. That is, offering a price to pay people to return their guns and as a way of getting some guns off the street. And according to my research, the Australian government bought back more than 650,000 guns from citizens in this buyback program. What I understand is, you can debate the specifics here, is that, and some cities in America have tried this, is that if you come forward voluntarily, you get some money, you give up your gun. Whether or not people have been forced to come forward in Australia and give up their guns, it doesn't seem to be the case. I'm not an expert on this, so I'm happy to be corrected. But again, the reason I bring this up is sometimes when people who are opposed to President Obama or Hillary Clinton or Democratic politicians on the issues of guns, and I understand how sensitive it is, and I understand their desire to defend the Second Amendment, but we have to deal with the facts on the table. And so what Neil Cavuto was doing was pressing Marco Rubio, well, what facts do you have to show that President Obama wants to take away everybody's guns, since he hasn't done that yet, and since his proposals, which you may not like, but which a majority of Americans support on background checks alone, that's what the president has proposed so far. That's the kind of thing that should be asked in the debate. See what the candidates have to say and let the American people decide.